Hello you guys, it's Katie and welcome back to another video. In today's video I have my top 10 favorite yarns that I'm going to be ranking for you guys. So I know I don't normally upload on Saturdays, and today is a Saturday as you're seeing this video, but today is actually I Love Yarn Day. So in honor of today I am uploading an extra video of ranking my top 10 favorite yarns for you guys. So I am going to link all the yarns below in case you're interested in shopping them if you've never tried them, or if you have and you just want to buy more. The links will be below, but it is going to be in a random order so that you can't tell the order of my favorites until you watch this video. And just a little disclaimer that I always like to give you guys, this is just my personal opinion. So some yarns that I like you may have not even tried before, and some yarns that you really like I may have not even tried before either. So this is just based off of what I have tried and what I like from that. And of course I'm going to give you my reasons for why I like them and what I don't like about them, all of that kind of stuff. With that out of the way, let's just get started on this video, because knowing me, I'm going to ramble a bunch, so I need to just go ahead and get started. So we're going to be going from number 10 to number 1. So my first yarn on this list is Mainstays 100% acrylic. So for each yarn I'm going to give you the breakdown of the yarn first, and then I will tell you what I like and what I don't like about the yarn. So Mainstays 100% acrylic yarn is obviously 100% acrylic. It is a medium weight 4, so just 5.5mm crochet hooks and knitting needles. It is 397 yards, 363 meters, 7 ounces, 198.4 grams. So this color is just called white, but they do have quite a few different colors in this Mainstays 100% acrylic yarn, and Mainstays is Walmart's brand if you guys didn't know. So for this yarn, there isn't quite as many color options as some of the other yarns I'm going to show you. So that is one of the main reasons why it is my number 10 spot instead of a number that would be higher. But it is pretty good as far as the price point, and the color options that they do have are good color options. There just aren't very many of them. And I think that it has a good amount of yarn per skein. All of that stuff is reasons why I like it, as well as you can get it from Walmart, which Walmart is the closest store to me other than Dollar Tree that sells yarn. But my local Dollar Tree barely ever has yarn, so you might as well say that Walmart is the closest store to me that sells yarn. So with that being the case, quite a few of my favorite yarns are yarns that are available at Walmart and stores that are closer to me. With that being said, that is all the reasons why this is my number 10 spot. And again, really the only downfall for this is that there are not as many color options as a lot of the other yarns. So the next yarn that I have for my number 9 spot is I Love This Yarn, which is available at Hobby Lobby. So the breakdown for this is it is 100% acrylic, medium weight 4, so just 5mm knitting needles, 5.5mm crochet hooks. It is 5 ounces, 142 grams, 252 yards, 230 meters. And this one in particular is the color Crushed Raspberry. So this one's like white with some pink and some gray in it as well. So this is just a random one that I picked out of my stash. And that's the same for all of these yarns. There's no like specific color that I'm sharing with you. It's not like, oh, this is my favorite color out of this yarn. It's just a random one. But anyways, the main thing that I love about I Love This Yarn is the color options. So the opposite of the Walmart one, this one has a ton of color options, but a couple of things that I don't love is it is a bit more pricey than other places like Walmart. This is $4.99 on this skein, but I know they've changed their prices on some yarns at Hobby Lobby recently, and I've had this skein for a while, so it might be even more than this now. Also, something to take into account is at Hobby Lobby they do have 30% off every other week, and I pretty much only shop when it is the 30% off, so it is a little bit cheaper than the $4.99 price that is listed on here. But still, I believe with that 30% off, it is still more expensive than yarns like this, and there is less yardage than this, of course. And then for this yarn, it is really soft for an acrylic yarn. I think this is probably one of the softest 100% acrylic yarns that I've ever felt and used, and I do really like how it works with it being so soft. So the color options and how soft it is probably my favorite things about this yarn. But another thing that you're going to hear me talk about in this video is that out of all of the yarn stores that I shop at, Hobby Lobby is the farthest from me. So for that reason, it is also a bit lower than some other yarns. And again, that's why I'm saying so much it is all personal preference. Because if you live like 5 minutes down the road from a Hobby Lobby, but your nearest Walmart and Joann and Michael's is like 30 minutes away, then probably a lot of your favorite yarns are from Hobby Lobby just because of that. Obviously something to consider as well, but I Love This Yarn is my number 9 spot. Alright you guys, I don't know why. I guess it's because it's the end of the day as I'm filming this, but I feel like my voice is starting to sound weird and stuff. I'm drinking a ton of water in between clips, but just know if my voice is cracking, I'm not sure why, but I'm fine. But anyways, my number 8 spot for my favorite yarns is I Love This Cotton, which is also found at Hobby Lobby. So the breakdown for this is it is 100% cotton, suggests 5mm knitting needles and 5.5mm crochet hooks. It is 3.5 ounces, 100 grams, 180 yards, 165 meters. It is a medium weight 4, and this color is called Mint. And this is regular price $3.79. So again, I do pretty much only buy this when it is on 30% off. So my reasons for this being a favorite of mine is kind of the same as my reasons for I Love This Yarn. There are lots of color options in this yarn, and it is really soft compared to a lot of other yarns. So those are both really good reasons why I like it. And then the same reasons as well for why I don't like it as much as some other yarns, because it is a little bit farther from me and it is a little bit more expensive than some other yarns. And as you guys are going to see throughout this video, I am just not the biggest fan of smaller weight yarns. So all of these first ones that I've showed you are a weight 4, and I do use weight 4 yarns, but not as often as chunkier yarns. So that's also why these are lower on the list for me, just because they don't get used as often and I don't gravitate to them as often. Now, kind of a bonus yarn that I wanted to show you that I'm kind of going to put in the number 8 spot with this is Mainstays 100% cotton yarn. So these yarns are very, very similar. Again, this is Mainstays, so this is from Walmart, and this is I Love This Yarn, so it's from Hobby Lobby. But this is a cheaper alternative, and these yarns are so similar, you guys. If you have not seen my video from a while back where I compared Walmart yarns and Hobby Lobby yarns, I will link that below for you if you're interested. But yeah, a lot of yarns from Walmart and Hobby Lobby are pretty similar. That's why I'm kind of putting these together. The only difference is sold at Walmart, sold at Hobby Lobby, and the amount of colors. There's a lot more colors in I Love This Cotton than there are in Mainstays 100% cotton, but they are super similar. So if you live in like Canada or something where you have Walmart but you don't have Hobby Lobby, I would try this if you want something that's going to be similar to this yarn. So anyways, I did just want to bring this yarn up. It's not technically on my list of favorites, but they're so similar that they can kind of both be in the number 8 spot, I think. So another thing that I like about cotton yarns in general is just how many things you can make with them. A lot of kitchen items that are going to be washed a lot you can make with cotton, as well as clothing items. So with this yarn having so many different color options for things like clothing and stuff, that is also very nice. So that is another reason why it is in my favorites, and that's why it's number 8 instead of number 9. So anyways, on to number 7. The next yarn is another one that is from Hobby Lobby. And again, a lot of these are lower on my list just because they are from Hobby Lobby, and Hobby Lobby is a lot farther for me. So this yarn is Yarn Bee Velvety Smooth. This is the color black, and the breakdown for this one is it is 3.5 ounces, 100 grams, 80 yards, 75 meters, 100% polyester. So just 8mm knitting needles and 9mm crochet hook. It is a number 5 bulky, 100% polyester, And the price on this, which again, this is what's listed. I've had this skein for a while, so it may be different now, but this says $4.49, but also take into consideration the 30% off. But anyways, I really like this yarn, and as you'll probably tell, most of my list from now on is chunkier yarns. So this one is a 5 as opposed to the other ones that are 4s. But this one is really, really, really soft. This is one of the softest yarns I have ever felt. This one does have good color options, not as many as I would like, but they do have some solid options. Like for example, this one has red, and a lot of other velvety yarns that are like this texture don't have very many good red options. So that is something that I like about this yarn. But a couple of things that I don't like, again, same things with the other yarns that I don't like, that it is far for me to drive to Hobby Lobby. But one other thing that is kind of a pet peeve for me on this yarn is that it does shed really bad. So for example, I'll just show you my spider pattern that is back here, which this is a free pattern, by the way, if you're interested. But this pattern is made with this yarn, which I love how it turned out, and it's like such a fun texture and everything. But my problem with it is that every time I made one of the limbs, I cut the yarn, of course, with a tail so that I could sew it, and I was covered in yarn shed, which you are going to deal with that with a lot of these fluffier, velvety textured yarns. But I find this one is a little bit worse than a lot of the other yarns that I have used in the past. So for that reason, it is a little bit lower on my list, as well as the amount you get per skein is a lot less than a lot of other yarns. So as you heard me say earlier, this is 80 yards. A lot of them are at least 100, if not more. So that's why this is quite a bit lower on my list. So that is all for number 7. So now on to number 6. So for my number 6 spot, I have another Hobby Lobby yarn, and this one is the last Hobby Lobby yarn on my list. So this is Baby Bee Adorable. This one specifically is the color Sugar Plum. The breakdown for this is it is 3.5 ounces, 100 grams, 92 yards, 85 meters, 100% polyester. Number 5, bulky, suggest 8mm knitting needles and 9mm crochet hooks. And this one is $4.99 regular price. Again, I believe they are switching up some of the prices at Hobby Lobby, so don't quote me on that. But again, also 30% off every other week. So for Yarn Bee Velvety Smooth and Baby Bee Adorable, I find them to be very similar, and I do use them in the same projects a lot because they are so similar. But the reason why this is number 6 and this is number 7 is, first off, the color options. I much prefer the lighter colors. Like this one is a light purple. They also have a light pink and yellow, more like pastel colors, versus the Yarn Bee Velvety Smooth is a lot darker colors, which for some projects I do want. Like for the spider, I did want a black color, of course, but for most projects I do gravitate towards the more pastel and bright colors. So that is why this is 6 instead of 7. Even though it is a little bit more expensive, the yardage is more on this one. So the main reason though is just that I prefer these color options more than these color options, at least if I have at my local store personally. And again, when I say local, it's like 45 minutes away from me. Alrighty, you guys. Next yarn is Premier Just Chenille yarn, which you can find at the Dollar Tree for the smaller size skeins, or you can get the big skeins on premieryarns.com now, which is also very exciting because it does end up being cheaper than these yarns. And for Premier, you can always use my link below to get 10% off. So it's even cheaper if you use that link with the bigger skeins of Just Chenille yarn. But anyways, this is my number 5 spot. So the Premier Just Chenille yarn is 85 yards, 60 meters, 1.76 ounces, 50 grams, 100% polyester, a super bulky number 6. So just 8mm knitting needles and crochet hooks, and this one is the color black. So just to compare, it's actually funny to me because I think the Yarn Bee Velvety Smooth is a little bit thicker than the Just Chenille yarn from Dollar Tree, and this one's listed as a 5 and this one's listed as a 6. So I don't think that a 6 is super accurate for this. I actually end up using like a 5mm hook with this and like a 6 or a 7 with this. So that goes to show you that it's not like super accurate, at least in my opinion. But anyways, that part doesn't really matter. The reasons why I like this yarn though is, first off, it's a lot more accessible at Dollar Tree versus at Hobby Lobby, because again, Hobby Lobby is a lot farther from me. And they also have a lot more color options than Yarn Bee Velvety Smooth and even the Adorable from Baby Bee combined. I think they have more color options for the Premier Just Chenille. And now what I will say with that though is I've never been able to find all of the color options at one store, but they do in general have more color options than what I've seen for this yarn at my Hobby Lobby. So the main thing that I don't like about this yarn is, first off, it is not at all Dollar Trees, like I already mentioned earlier. I cannot find yarns in general at my local store, so I do have to go a little bit farther for this. And I also don't like how small these skeins are. The 65 yards is not very much for this yarn, so once I've used up these small skeins, I will more than likely be buying from premieryarns.com just because it does end up being cheaper, and I can find all the color options that way instead of having to go hunt for them at different Dollar Trees. But I think this is a super good option for a lot of different people because, again, Dollar Trees are a lot more common than places like Hobby Lobby and Joann and stuff like that. And since this is from Dollar Tree, it's $1.25 each. So that price isn't too bad, especially if you're someone that's looking to try like chenille or velvety textured yarns for the first time. I definitely recommend these because they are small and cheap and easily accessible because you can find them at Dollar Tree. So another thing that I will say is a downfall for the Premier yarn is it does shed quite a bit whenever you cut the yarn. Now, that is going to be the case with a lot of velvety yarns like I already mentioned, but I do find that these two are kind of the worst for that. Even the Adorable yarn from Hobby Lobby I've found does it less than these two. But that may just be the batches that I'm getting of yarn, I don't know. But I have found that these two specifically are the worst for the amount that they shed. So just one more thing to note about this yarn is they are missing some colors. So they have like multiple blues and multiple yellows, but they don't have any in orange or any in red online or that I've ever seen at Dollar Tree. So I do hope that one day they will add those colors, and then maybe this would be a little bit higher on my list. But still is a good yarn. Obviously, that's why it's on my list. Alright, you guys. Next yarn, which I feel like this might be like the most controversial one because I think a lot of people would put this at number 1, but for me, it's at number 4. But anyways, this is Premier Parfait Chunky yarn. So the breakdown for this is it is 131 yards, 120 meters, 3.5 ounces, 100 grams, 100% polyester. This is the color Poppy, and it suggests 8mm knitting needles and crochet hooks, and is considered a super bulky number 6. So there's a lot of things that I do really like about this yarn. First off, the color options. As you can see, I have a beautiful red right here, which for a lot of the yarns they don't even offer in red. So it is a huge win that this yarn is even available in red. But they also have a ton of other color options. Like some yarns I'm only able to find like one brown and one red and stuff like that. They actually have multiple different shades of each color. So I believe they have like 3 different reds and maybe 2 or 3 different browns or something like that. So that is really useful as well if you're trying to make something that needs multiple different shades of one color. So there's like only 2 things that I can say that I don't love about this yarn. First off, it's online exclusive. If they sold this in stores for like the same price that it is online, it would probably be my number one. But it is only available online, and I just love going to a yarn store and being able to pick out the yarn and feel the yarn, all of that kind of stuff. So for me, it just can't be a top number one because of that. But it is saying something that an online exclusive yarn has made it to the number 4 spot on my list because of how much I love shopping in person versus online. So that is something that I don't love, as well as, again, something that I've already mentioned with some of the other yarns. This one does shed when you are cutting the yarn. So that is a problem for me when I make plushies, especially things that have a lot of limbs, like arms and legs and ears and all kinds of stuff to make for different plushies. Whenever I use a yarn that sheds, it is a lot more inconvenient. But again, the thing that makes this yarn just so high on my list is all of the color options, and it is decently priced. I don't think it's overpriced, or I don't think it's underpriced. I think it is a really good, decent price. So this is another yarn though that I don't use the recommended hook size because I feel like it is a little bit too big, at least for making plushies. If you were making something like a scarf or a hat, then maybe the 8mm that it suggests would be good. But for me making plushies, I do normally use a 6 with this. But I do really like the way it works up and feels and all of that. So this is a big favorite of mine now. Even though I only tried it like a month or two ago for the first time, this is a favorite now. Alright you guys, for my number 3 spot, I am including 2 yarns together because in my mind, they're basically the same. There's only a little bit of a difference, which I'll explain to you. But we have Yarnspirations Burnet Velvet and Burnet Baby Velvet. So this might be a controversial one because I know there's quite a few people that don't like velvet yarns. They would much rather work with things like Parfait Chunky than velvet. But a main reason why this is higher on my list than this one is because this is in store versus Parfait Chunky is only online. Now really quick, I'm going to give you the breakdown and then I will chat some more about what I like about these yarns and what I don't. So for the regular velvet yarn, it is 100% polyester, 10.5 ounces, 300 grams, 315 yards, 288 meters, a bulky number 5, 6.5mm knitting needles and crochet hooks. And this one is the color Frosted Cranberry. And then for Burnet Baby Velvet, it is a bit different. So it is a medium weight 4, so just 4.5mm knitting needles and 5mm crochet hooks. Also 100% polyester, 10.5 ounces, 300 grams, but the yardage is a little more. It is 492 yards and 450 meters. And this color is Purple Pansy. So these are a different weight for the yarns, and the yardage is a bit different because this one is thinner than this one. But when you compare them, they aren't as different as you would think for a 5 versus a 4, but they are different. This one is still thinner than this one. But the reason I'm lumping them together is because they're both Burnet Velvet. Like, they are very, very similar for the texture and everything like that. The only thing that is different is I wouldn't use them in the same project because they are a different weight, and I wouldn't use the same hook size. So I would go down a hook size or 2 for this one and up a hook size or 2 for this one. But for things that I like I already mentioned, this one you can buy in store, which is great. It is also a very, very soft yarn. So I do think that the Hobby Lobby Velvety Smooth and maybe even the Just Chenille is a little bit softer, but these are still a great option. And again, you can shop in store. These are at Michael's and at Joann, which Michael's and Joann are both like 30 minutes from me or 25 minutes versus like 45 minutes or even more for Hobby Lobby. So that is another reason. And they do have pretty good color options. So for the baby velvet, I believe there's less color options than the regular velvet, but for a lot of them they do come in the same colors or similar colors. But I do really enjoy the color options they have, and yarns like this have a lot more color options than the just Chenille or the Yarn Bee Velvety Smooth. Not as many as the Parfait Chunky, but still a lot of color options for being in store compared to other yarns that you can shop in store. So those are my main reasons. I also just love how it works up. I think the price point is relatively good. These are regular price $11.99, but I always shop them on sale. So for Joann specifically, they do a lot of sales for Burnet blanket yarns, and when that is the case, the Burnet velvet yarns are also included in that. So for example, a lot of times they do like $8.99 or something, and then you can also use their 20% off coupon for in-store pickup. So that is what I like to do very often to get these yarns on sale. These also do not shed as badly when you cut them, so that is very nice as well. And the sales that they do are pretty often. I would say maybe every other week they're on sale, or at least you can always find a coupon to get them a little bit more discounted at Michael's or Joann. So yes, that is my reasons for these being in my number 3 spot. But I feel like I've already been talking forever, so let's move on to number 2 now. Alright you guys, here's another one that I feel like is probably controversial, but if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I like this yarn. And this is Red Heart Super Saver. So the breakdown for this is medium weight 4, suggests 5.5mm crochet hooks, 5mm knitting needles, 100% acrylic. This color is Hunter Green. It is 7 ounces, 198 grams, 364 yards, 333 meters. So this yarn specifically has the most color options of any yarn you're going to see. The other yarn that has a lot is I Love This Cotton from Hobby Lobby, but I believe that this has even more color options, especially when you go to Joann. But you can even find this at Walmart. You can find this at pretty much any store that sells yarn other than Hobby Lobby, because Hobby Lobby does have their own yarns. So I also love that this yarn is good for so many different things. As you see on the package, you can make scarves, you can make hats, you can make clothing, you can make little plushies as well. My little ghost this right there is Red Heart Super Saver, as well as that little birthday cake, that giraffe, which was my first project ever, and that giraffe that was a recreation of that giraffe like 2 years later was also Red Heart Super Saver. So this can just be used for so many things. I just love this yarn. The only thing that I can say that I don't love is the texture. But I think because of the amount of color options and the price of the yarn, all of that kind of stuff, it is something that I can get over. I personally don't tend to make things like blankets or clothing or anything like that that's going to touch my skin with it, because it's not as soft as some other yarns, but it is great for a lot of other things. And it's still great for those things if you don't mind the texture. And also the texture is going to depend on each skein specifically. Sometimes one skein will be a lot more rough than another one, so if you shop in store, then you can just tell and you can pick out which one feels the best to you. But that is my number 2 spot. So for my number 1 spot, it is a yarn that has been right behind me this whole time, and that is Yarnspiration's Burnet Blanket yarn. Which, when I say Burnet Blanket, I'm also including Baby Blanket and Burnet Blanket Brights, because those are exactly the same breakdown, and I use them all together as if they are the same yarn. So whenever I'm talking about this, just know that that includes those yarns as well. Burnet Blanket is a super bulky number 6, suggests 8mm knitting needles and crochet hooks, 100% polyester, 10.5 ounces, 300 grams, 220 yards, 201 meters. And this color is called Coal. This is the black color. So there's a lot of reasons why this is my favorite. First off, I love making big plushies and just things that are chunky, as you can probably tell from the background, and as you probably know if you watch my channel. So this is a great yarn to do that with. And this yarn is one that you can find in stores. So you can find it at Joann, you can find it at Michael's, and for some colors you can even find it at Walmart. I see this black color quite a lot at my Walmart, as well as white sometimes, and a couple different variegated colors I see at my Walmart as well. So it is a little bit more expensive at Walmart sometimes, but it is still a good option that they do have it at Walmart. And there are a ton of color options. Just as you can see behind me, a ton of color options between Burnet Blanket, Baby Blanket, and Blanket Brights. So many color options, and most of them you can find in store at either Michael's, Joann, or Walmart. Some of them, like that lime green color that I have right there, I had to order on Amazon because I was not able to find it in store anywhere, but majority of the colors you will be able to find in store, which is also very helpful. And the price point is the same as the Burnet Velvet yarns. They are $11.99, at least at Joann. That's where I mainly shop, so that's what I'm talking about. But $11.99, and they have the same exact sales, where these are like $7.99 or $8.99, and you can use a coupon at the same exact time. This is also like the cheapest for the yardage and all of that when you shop those sales. Now, the final thing that I will say about this is I do wish that they had some more color options. I think if they had colors like Parfait Chunky, I would be like the happiest person in the world, and I don't think I would ever use another yarn ever, possibly. Not really, that's exaggerating, but still, I do wish that they had some other color options for Burnet Blanket and Baby Blanket and Blanket Brights, because, for example, the only red color that they have is called Crimson, which you can actually see it right there on my spider. That's what I used for the belly of the spider. So there's only one red color. If I wanted to make something that required multiple shades of red, I would use something like Parfait Chunky, because they do have different shades of red. And same with some of the other colors. But a lot of the colors, they do have multiple options. Like, for example, for the yellow, we have 1, 2, 3 different colors. This yellowy color is actually Big Twist Cuddle, which could also be a part of this category because it is also the same exact breakdown, but this is Joann only, so I didn't really include it. But anyways, just as an example to show you, these are the 3 color options that you can get at Joann. There's other options at Michael's as well as online, and you can see how many greens I have over here as well, and how many pinks I have over here. So there are a good amount of color options. I just wish some other colors like red and orange, again, I assume red and orange must be like difficult colors to make in yarn dye or something like that, or maybe they're more expensive or something, because those are always the colors that I find are lacking in different yarns from different brands. Normally they have the least amount of red and orange, so I don't know what the deal with that is, but you can even see I have a bunch of blue and a bunch of purple, and I even have different shades of gray here and different shades of white. So there's like a ton of options. I do just wish, again, red and orange had a couple more different variants. But you guys, now that I've rambled about different yarns forever, that is my top 10 list. I hope you guys enjoyed this extra Saturday video for today. If you did enjoy this video, please do give it a big thumbs up. Let me know your favorite yarns below, because I would love to hear how they compare to mine. If you have any on your list that are the same as mine, or if you don't like any of these yarns, or if you've never tried any of these yarns, all of that stuff, I would love to hear from you guys below. And also let me know how you guys are celebrating I Love Yarn Day. Maybe going out and buying some yarn for yourself, or even just crocheting or knitting today. I hope you at least do something to celebrate I Love Yarn Day. Now, if you guys do want to make sure you don't miss out on any videos from me in the future, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and turn on the post notification bell. That way you know every single time I upload a brand new video. And if you guys do want to see more from me, you can always check out more videos of mine, my blog, my Etsy shop, my Ribbler shop, all of my social medias, and my second channel. All of that is always included in the description box down below for you guys. And again, if you do want to check out any of these yarns, they will all be linked below for you guys. So with all of that, thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I will see you guys here on Mondays and Fridays for brand new videos. Goodbye.